Hey everyone, this is Ezra with newschoolbeer.com. We're doing another one of our Fireside Chats video series. We're checking in with a few different bar, taproom, brewery owners from across the state. We did one of these videos with everybody, what was it, couple months ago now, a little over a month. So I want to check in, see how the reopening is going for Oregon on-premise sales and what's changed and how we get it evolved. So first off, I just want to check in with everybody and ask you where you're at right now. Where are you at as a business right now? I'll start with Josh. Oh, and please introduce where you're from and who you're representing.
Cool, yeah, thanks Ezra. Josh pFriem, brewmaster, co-founder of Family Brewers. In our current state, we're busy. We've pivoted. We've made quite a bit of changes, a lot of action since last time we all checked in. We're currently ramped up in production. Our draft and obviously restaurant tasting room business was hit really, really hard. We were able to turn back on to go around just after Memorial Day weekend. And then now as of July 6th, we added in a layer of outdoor seating. The city of Hood River has allowed us to build extended patios to our patios. So we built another area that allows us to have another 5 tables alongside of our current patio. Within that, we have also still kept running to-go food. And then we have continually pivoted more of our production for draft beer into cans as we've been able to get aluminum supply. Aluminum is really, really challenging right now. So we could put more beer in package if we had more aluminum. But it's nice to have a little bit of draft back. We're obviously very cautious and wary and not building up much inventory. And within our warehouse and then with our distributors. We had to pause our construction project when COVID hit, but we were able to turn that back on and are full steam ahead on getting all that work done.
How about you, Colby?
Yeah, it's Colby Phillips with Beergarden and Public House in Eugene and Springfield, Oregon. And so we opened up May 15th at Beergarden. No, I'm sorry, May 15th at Public House, and then opened up Beergarden the week after that. I think our meeting, Fireside Chat last time was after that. We'd been open, but the Portland area hadn't opened up. So since then, I don't think a lot has happened for us. We're still using, online ordering through Porter only at this point. It still is effective. It's been working for us pretty well. There's not much to add, I think, probably since then, from our perspective. I think when they implemented when COVID started to go up here in early July, they implemented the masks everywhere mandate. I think our business took a hit because of that, but we're still in kind of a good range to get through the summertime. We still have a lot of outdoor seating, so it's still working for us from that perspective. So I think that's kind of the big change since we talked the last time. But yeah, we're doing reasonably well right now. As long as we could stay open at this phase 2 level, we're in a solid spot.
And then how about you, Dan?
I'm Dan Hart with Prost, Interurban, Bantam Tavern, Stomptish, and Blood Buzz. We got a little late start on Colby. Colby's a jerk, and got out of the gates a little before the rest of us up here in Portland. But we were able to get back up and rocking. The response was really great. People were really excited to get back out for certain. They wanted to come back and enjoy the pubs that they've known so well. We did expanded patio seating at most of the places, which has been really effective because people certainly do want to sit outside preferably. I mean, it's summertime in Portland, so I don't think that's out of the range of normalcy, but especially right now with everything that's going on, people are feel more comfortable sitting outside and enjoy the fresh air and the breeze coming through, and the distancing from everybody. But yeah, we have no complaints so far. People just been, have smiles on their faces and ready to come through the door and be able to kick back and relax and have a couple beers, have some food, and enjoy themselves. So everything's been good so far, but there's always problems. As soon as we opened up interurban, our water heater went down. And that took us, had to shut down for 2 days. 2 weeks into opening up Stomptish, our sewer main went out, and so we've been closed down for a few weeks there now. We just reopened up for takeout and doing whatever we can. But just like everyday business, there's problems along the way, and we're just trucking along.
And Tony.
Hey everybody, Tony here, co-founder and brewmaster at Boneyard, Bend, Oregon. A lot of similar stories. I think you all know that here in Bend we got going a little earlier than the rest of you. And so we were able to cross that intersection sort of with our own psychological warfare with the team or myself, and what the pathway would be looking like, and how to get open and how to operate from a safe standpoint. And that's going pretty well. We all wrestle a little bit with, we part of the solution or part of the problem. We're doing 95% outdoor seating. We've got a few seats inside. We rarely seat anybody in there. Of course, we're doing, our model was always counter service. We've got outdoor ordering, indoor ordering, and trying to use much of digital platform for purchasing and for ordering and paying your bill and such. I don't know. The pub's going pretty good. We got a reduced team. They're working kind of strange new hours. Sounds like similar to everybody else, the city of Bend and the OLCC have given us annex rights to about 33% of our parking lot. We got a spot that worked out pretty well for that in terms of just where it was situated on the property in relation to like the counter service outdoor bar and things like that. So just purchased the 20 by 40 big tent that should be showing up this week, and we went down to the local electrical supply and been getting those big wooden spools from all their that they use, they kick off as a byproduct of the business they run, and sand them down and polyurethane them up to create some nice fun tables outside in our so-called beer garden, which is basically AstroTurf over asphalt in a big white tent. But yeah, I think you all know a lot of the counts are rising into shoots and stuff like that. So, hey, we're still 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It seems like anything could happen at any minute.
And I believe I just heard that Bend is now discouraging anyone from visiting at all from out of town, right?
That's correct. Earlier when I was speaking just a few minutes ago, I kind of talked about our own personal struggles or psychological barriers, either professionally or personally. And similar to the city of Bend, I think different verbiage was used, but one of my key players was on social media kind of saying a bunch of things about tourists coming to town and stuff. So I stood with him on freedom of speech and all these type of things, but some of the stuff, the language he was using was definitely, if you were a Boneyard fan and heard that, would have been not so tasteful for us. And now the city of Bend's kind of discouraging stuff. It's been really crowded here. It has been really crowded. I mean, it's summertime like everybody else, but I think a lot of people from cities are descending on Bend. The pub's doing okay. It's staying afloat. I'm not trying to overthink it and look at the books too much. Just trying to make sure the team and everybody's safe and find ways to adapt daily.
Just to kind of go off that conversation, I mean, bringing other people's opinions in here, what do you guys feel about like the discouraging of possible customers coming from out of town to visit your establishments? I mean, are you discouraging people? How does that, work with, operating a business, especially some of you that might rely on more people from out of town, more tourists? Anybody have an opinion on that?
I mean, for me, again, I can continually wrestle if we're part of the solution or part of the problem, but it is summertime and it's a long year here. we got some shoulder seasons where there's almost no activity out there. Currently, I feel for the company and for the employees of the company and the platform that we're currently, how we currently operate, we're doing the best we can. We feel pretty good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and chime in. We wanted to make sure that regardless of how we opened, that it would be safe. It'd be safe for our employees. It'd be safe for customers, whether they're local or coming from out of town. One thing that's been nice with our location, our to-go area, we're able to do that, maintain that out of the Bear's Den, and which is on the other side of the building where we have the patio. So if people want to be just food and beer and take it to wherever they're eating or drinking and not have contact, we have a great opportunity for them there. And then with our outside seating, you have to only come in through one area, and then we have all our policies and protocols. And so we stood back and watched what a lot of the folks were doing, and we found out like what we're currently doing and what the feedback we've gotten from our customers, once again, if they're local or out of town, is that everyone feels safe, and we're able to keep our employees safe as well.
Josh, I think last time you talked about the possibility of people being able to eat and drink from pFriem across the street in the park. Is that something's happening, or you just kind of like let people do their own thing?
Yeah, the people are doing that, and there are certain areas of the park that are closed off, and even over the weekend, started to see certain busier areas kind of get broken up and closed down. But at this point, people seem to be managing themselves and with their need of expectation of safety, and whether they're bringing their food back home or going over to the park. So far, that's been a pretty good situation.
I think the last time we talked, I think maybe Colby had just opened your spot, but a lot of us hadn't. Everyone thinks that reopening has went well so far. I mean, how has it been on like teaching customers the new rules and regulations, and actually policing that or not policing that? How about you? How about
here in Bend?
Go ahead, Tony.
Okay. I mean, so far in terms of the participation and communication with the staff and the personnel and the customers and stuff, it's gone fairly smooth for us. We put together a universal, well, at least from our team, sort of a simple, small paragraph on how to approach any customer that may not be compliant or a little bit unruly in terms of how it is that we attempt to run our process. And but we've really had it pretty easy so far in terms of that type of awkward behavior from a customer or from an employee. It's been working fairly well.
It's worked well for you so far, Dan?
Yeah, it's been working out great. I think as we spoke last time, I said that it's going to be a big learning curve for us as a staff and a crew to enforce these new protocols and everything else. But one of the most important things is that it was going to be a learning curve for the customers, for our guests, and I think for the most part they've been great. And I would say that overall, yeah, there are challenges. There are people that make mistakes. There are people that forget on a certain occasion. I've been guilty of it myself. I've got myself, sitting there having a beer and getting up to go to the restroom, and I forget to put on my mask on. And halfway there, I'm like, I'm guilty of it as well. So, it's a challenge for everybody to, adjust this new normal. But for the most part, everybody's, ready to be compliant, willing to be compliant, and just gracious that we're here. So I don't think it's been a massive deal for us. I mean, it's a challenge for our staff, certainly. It's just an added step, an added verbal that they have to have with guests constantly, just reminding and babysitting, if you will. But they're doing a great job, and people are generally really, really happy to deal with everything that we tell them.
Mhm. And what's the long-term feasibility of all this outside seating, as it doesn't look like this is going to wrap up anytime soon? You know, how are you going to change or grapple with things as the weather gets bad? Maybe Colby can chime in on that first.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've been wrestling with. You know, our pubs are pretty stable right now. We're not making what we made year over year by any means, and I track that. But we're making enough to get through till October, as long as we could, like I said, stay in phase 2. But after that, like, it's a head scratcher for me. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do. I mean, for us, we were able to get the PPP loan from the SBA CARES Act, and that money, I'm not so sure as long as we can stay in phase 2, we'll really need right now, but I'm going to need it over the colder months. I know that for sure. So I think that's going to be really important. Hopefully the government maybe offers another chance at something like that as we approach the fall. Based on, I think you're right, Ezra, that it definitely looks like we're in this until 2021 at some point at a minimum. So hopefully they can also do that. But to try and remedy that right now, at Beergarden, we have a tent that we put up every year in the wintertime anyway. So we'll do that as well. The question is, will we leave it a little bit more open air? We have walls and we have heaters that we use to, actually it's much more like an HVAC. It's a forced air heating system that blows air inside. We're trying to keep it as airtight as possible. So we'll be able to do that next year. Just, you know, into the winter, definitely, and I'm just not quite sure what that'll look like there. It's probably what we're going to do at Beergarden and just see how it goes. Public house, we have a fair amount of indoor seating, but people, and I would say Tony probably was talking about this, people overwhelmingly want to sit outside right now. I'm assuming that's still going to be the case in October, but then people are also going to want to go out. So I don't know what we're going to look at there. So if people continue to go out, but they start to go inside, will that spike cases, you know, and will that create a problem? So I kind of feel like I need an alternative plan at Public House, and it may be a tent like Tony, but they did, you know, just to provide something that might be a little bit more open air with some like heat source in there, but feel a little safer. Those are just my thoughts. I don't have an answer, like a perfect remedy, but that's what's going through my head right now.
And Josh, at pFriem, I mean, you're doing outdoor only too, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. The only access we have to inside is to use our restrooms, but with the low volume, lower than we're used to in the summertime, you have to wear a mask, obviously, when you come inside. But yeah, we decided just to keep it all outside for now. And then we're definitely similar to what Colby's saying. Nobody has a correct crystal ball right now. What's going to happen this fall, but I think the key, I think for all of us has been, just being ready to make game time decisions. Taking all the information. We know we'll know more in October going into November than we know right now, and collecting all that data and info, and then making some educated decisions, and then also seeing what the government is going to say or do. What health advisory is being advised, and then we're honestly unsure of what we'll do when it comes this fall.
Mm-hmm. You have any thoughts on that, Dan?
Same. It's what does that say? Like expect the best, prepare for the worst. Kind of, at this point, that doesn't even make sense to us anymore. It's just we're preparing for everything, taking day by day. And my views have been just one of optimism and taking it day by day and pretending like we're going to be open tomorrow and it's going to be another great day. But also have some contingency plans, outdoor seating is obviously going to be an issue. There's no question about that. If things get worse or if they shut down inside or even if they stay open inside, we got such limited capacity. And, those big tents, they're not cheap, and getting the heating systems in there, that's not cheap. So trying to figure out what the best course is to make sure that we're doing everything that we can right now in a safe and quality manner, but looking into what's going to happen in the future, and we're just trying to ride it out. And bottom line is we're all on the same boat on this. It's not a unique position for me. It's not a unique position for us on this panel. It's going to be for everybody, and try our best, and we'll figure out what tomorrow brings.
Has everybody here gotten the PPP loans? Yeah. Did anybody not get one of those? No. I mean, is there any risk of those running out for you guys? And like, are you worried about that?
I think it's how you use the PPP funds. For us, we've acted like that we didn't get it, and so we've run super lean. Limited sources on staffing and just as bare bone as we possibly can, and that way that keeps that money there as a resource. I'm sure everyone here would attest as well that it's been awesome to get the PPP funds, especially with the House bill that went to the Senate that extended the time for use. That was huge. That made that money a lot more valuable for pFriem. But it's not enough to hold us. We're running at a 50% business with our full overhead. So we're still bleeding out pretty strong. It would be awesome if there was something else that came in from the government to help out restaurants and breweries and these businesses that are just going to be drugged through the mud for quite some time. I think we all contest as well that it's going to be a long time before we have our full business level back up.
Have anyone else tried the touchless ordering system like Porter that Colby helped develop? Like, are you doing anything like that at pFriem?
We looked at it, and I think like what Colby has created is awesome. And there's other good resources like that. But for us, it kind of comes back to going lean and try not to add anything new or anything complex that costs money right now. And so we've done more of a, here's your sanitized pen, here's hand sanitizer on the table, every point is being sanitized, especially for us not knowing if we're going to have any sort of dining or anything going into the fall and into the winter months. So we really just kind of relied on the go lean, go tight mentality.
Mm-hmm. What about for you, Dan?
I'm the same way. I went down and visited Colby down at Beergarden and got to experience Porter and use it firsthand shortly after we had this last conversation. It's a great app. It's a really cool platform that they're utilizing. As Josh said, it's trying to bring in new systems is pretty complicated right now with staff and the new protocols that we're already going through and the extra labor that it requires to do everything currently, which would be a counter argument probably for using Porter. But for us, we've always been, face to face, and we want to engage customers as much as possible. Obviously, right now it's very much more in tune with being safe and doing it the proper way. Every time we touch a table, everything's clean, everything's sanitized. We go out of our way. Guests see it, they understand it. So yeah, we just maintain with the pretty much the classic principle of how we do service.
Mm-hmm. I do wonder though, because there's so much increasing evidence that it's much rarer to have a transmission by touching something, and it's far more about people being close to each other, like the interaction that happens if you're having a server or even going up to a counter. Like what would happen if you had employee test positive? I mean, is there, how much concern should be directed towards saving money on spending all this money up front to save money in the long run? We're seeing that more and more. We're just like, it seems like every week I'm seeing just the breweries, just even in Oregon, around Portland, with employees testing positive.
I don't know how much it, no matter what, you have to visit a table and there's going to be an interaction. I think right now with what our staff does and how we act on a daily basis, it makes it as safe and as clean as possible. Obviously there's always risks, and that's a massive concern, but no matter what, unless you can develop a completely different model of service, there's no way that you're not going to be able to interact with the table. You're always going to have to interact with the table. So it's what you do outside of that. To me, that's the most important, and just making sure you do everything exactly correct to make sure everybody is safe as possible. Bottom line, when it comes to bar and restaurant service, you're going to have to see somebody face to face. You're going to limit your space, but if you order off an app, somebody's still got to deliver to your table. We haven't gotten drones that deliver beers just yet that I know of, but doing what we can is what's most important.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any thoughts on that, Tony? I mean, as far as I know, nobody here has had staff members that were there, test positive that I know about. But like, what would happen, if that happened at, like, say, the Boneyard pub?
Yeah, well, I don't have a clean answer for you. We are revising all of our COVID procedures and protocols under our roof recently. It's just seemed like in the last 2 weeks, to be honest, a lot of people take it the seriousness, how they feel about their individual or family or any operations. That everybody seems here to be taking things a lot more seriously than they did 2 weeks ago. It seems like now everybody knows somebody or has heard of a story, either one of their colleagues, their family, or a workplace similar to their own. So a lot of at least for us, those type of discussions have been ramped up in the last 10 business days to put together better guidelines for such an incident. I'm not staring at them here, so I'm not going to comment on them. Nothing too secretive. I think I have seen a lot of sharing of guidelines, considerations. I know here at Boneyard, we've used bits and pieces, and other people probably used our bits and pieces. Deschutes, Worthy, Sun River, Boneyard, and a bunch of us are just sharing as much information as we can as we gather it in real time. So just like everybody else, I feel like we're figuring it out day by day. I do feel like it's going to continue to get closer to home. I feel like something's going to happen here the next week or two, and maybe that's more the scope of your question, is that what's going to happen then? Of course, you have to quarantine or shut down? Are you talking about manufacturing, or are you talking about the restaurant space? And it ties right back to our previous conversation you guys were chatting about as well. How much bleeding can you withstand before other things really need to come into play? For our pub, we were 6 quarters in. We just had our 2-year anniversary since we last spoke. And finally, about the 6th quarter, we were starting to figure out how to get this thing to operate and maybe be getting the black or something like that. And now, I don't even, who knows what's going to happen in the fall. Luckily, there's a lot of Patagonia jackets around here, and then the Bend folk, the locals, are pretty hardy. But that'll last till, October will be okay, November will be okay. But as you get into the winter, if we're outside seating up here, what's going to happen is we're just going to have really simple hours, really small reduced staff, very small menu, and everything the other guys were chatting about is got to watch your overhead. There's no more CapEx on other fancy digital platforms. Earmuffs, Colby. So, fingers crossed.
Do you have any thoughts on how you would address something like that, Colby?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about it. But I don't know if I have the answers. We haven't seen something like this, as far as I know, in Oregon for like a restaurant or pub where there's any kind of at least not that I'm aware of. There's any of the staff that gets it and then do you have to get shut down? Do they do contact tracing? How's that look? I'm not sure there's been an example, so I'm not entirely sure what I would need, what it would look like when that happened. I'm definitely prepared that we may have to shut down for a period if something like that happened. And I mean, it would make sense. With our places, it's not just our staff, but we have 5 food vendors at each spot, and they have all their staffs as well. And so if one of them got it, would that do the same thing for us? So I forget who was saying it, might have been Tony. The odds of something like that happen seems pretty high at some point, right? Soon. I guess we'd have more of an answer then, but I'm prepared that at some point we'll have to shut down for 2 or 3 weeks for something like that, for our staff to stay home and for them to get all tested thoroughly, because I think you have to wait a couple days to make sure that if they did get the virus, that it was their immune system kicked in enough to be able to test to see if they're actually had it. I don't think you could test it on day one. So you got to wait a couple of days for that. And what I've been seeing is sometimes the testing can take up to a week, sometimes not, depending on where it gets done. So, I'm prepared to be able to have to shut down for 2 or 3 weeks if we need to. And I'm hoping I don't have to.
What do you think, Josh?
We've taken a very preventative approach to get ahead of it. For some time now, we have part of our protocol. We started having all of our employees in-house wearing masks all the way back in March, and spread out workstations on the brewery side, and now on the restaurant side. We have an offsite prep kitchen space. So we keep minimal people in our current kitchen and spread them out into our prep. And all employees, every day, we do daily temperature checks that are logged, and then all the standard questions that you ask. And then we've also offered up no questions asked, 2 weeks paid if you don't feel well, to keep everybody honest and making sure to get ahead of it. And also within that, keeping everybody spread out as much as possible. And so what we've seen, at least locally, and maybe good for you guys to check into, and anybody else that's watching this, is meeting with their local health department. That's their job, is to have guidelines and standardization of what they'll do. They all have protocols of how they're handling this and managing it. Because really, if you get somebody that's sick, you're not going to be able to be making much decisions. It's the health department's going to come in and they're going to be like, all right, we're going to do contact tracing for all these people. We're going to interview these folks. How much contact do they actually have? And then they're going to determine what you need to do from there. So it's good to understand what that is, so that it's fairly inevitable that it's going to happen to all of us or some of us within our employees, that you're set up as best as possible to make that process as easy as possible and move it along quickly.
Mm-hmm. What is everyone's worst fear right now? Maybe starting with Dan, in relation to the virus.
Worst fear, man. That's a big loaded question right out of the gates. Thanks for worst fear. We all have fears in regards to this, regards to many things, and my standpoint has always just been kind of move ahead and do what you can. We're all dealing with the same situation. It's not great. It's not the end of the world. It's really not a good place to be either. So we're going one step at a time. Obviously, on the business sense, it's us getting shut down. For us on the restaurant side of things, obviously, if we go into quarantine again, that's it for us. You know, we can sell, you know, we can nickel and dime out the door a little bit for takeout and growler fills and what have you, but that's not sustainable for us. You know, that's the biggest fear, but if it comes to that point, you know, that's what's going to happen, and we're going to have to deal with it. But obviously, as everybody knows, and what you guys were just all talking about is having a staff member become ill. Yeah, we didn't. That is a massive fear. We did not want that, not just because of business-wise. You know, we feel for the safety of our employees. You know, is it an inevitability? I don't know. It feels like it to a certain extent. Most of my employees are, you know, in their 20s and 30s, you know, young, lively, active people that could probably presumably get through a sickness, but we don't want anybody ever to have to go through that. And we've been encouraging all of our employees and staff to talking about, with all the safety protocols that we put into place at the bar, to translate that into their personal life as well, because they're responsible, you know, have a level of responsibility for your coworkers and for the people that you're serving, your guests, when you're outside of work. That responsibility doesn't stop when you clock out. I fear a lot of people might make mistakes when they're out in public, going to a big barbecue, hanging out with a large group of people that they don't know that are outside of their household. While they're at work, we're doing everything possible to make them as safe as can be. But just want to make sure that they keep that thought process when they walk out the door. Otherwise, shutting down would be my biggest fear, you know, ever. You know, closing down my bars would be super sucky.
Yeah.
I agree with Dan. I would say, in that same order, like the last thing you want is your staff to get this and have to go through that process. And then the second one is definitely, it's definitely shutting down. Yeah.
What do you everyone think the chances are that we're heading towards another shutdown? There's been a lot of speculation about that. I know a lot of at least Portland area bar owners that have felt like could be coming any day. Or do you think that it's just a little unwarranted fear? What do you guys think? Josh, do you think that there's a possibility that could be coming soon?
I think everything is on the table. You know, I think our approach, so it's like all this group here is the same, is that kind of it's like got to keep thinking about the worst and preparing for the worst and hope that the worst doesn't happen. But yeah, I mean, I think shutdowns I think everything's still on the table. I think, you know, we're still like if this is a marathon, we're still pretty early stages. We have not gotten halfway through this marathon yet. Still got a ways to go, but you know, all we can hope is that, you know, the governor is getting her information from scientists and health experts, and you know, and then we will run our businesses and comply as best we can to make sure people are healthy and safe, and do what we can to stay alive in the meantime.
If we get shut down, I mean, as far as the tap rooms and bars, I mean, is everyone just looking at it being like, we're just going to try and wait that out? Or do you think it's going to shift to going back to like the delivery, you know? I mean, or what do you do? Or are you just like, it's not even worth it to even do that? Like, I mean, what would you do, Tony?
Well, what I have is a little bit of a track record behind me, although I haven't really studied it yet. So the first thing I do is just kind of try to take a look at the you know, the actual balance, the P&L, the balance sheet, see if it works. Even if it doesn't work, which it currently isn't, how long can I still run and operate that way? And that'll start to tell the tale of the tape. And I haven't bothered to look back and do that while we've been pivoting to so many different type of operational adjustments. I mean, I feel like a lot of what we're talking about is weighted towards the retail side. And so, man, we built a big space and it is expensive. I don't know how long that space can hang on. Now, I'd probably try and back it myself from the beer side for as long as I could. Maybe we can get till next summer, and then we'll all have a much clearer understanding, hopefully, of what the future holds. I can get through this winter. I think there's a 50-50 chance we get shut down either by state and local authorities or maybe individually by COVID running rampant through our team or our friends. It's like so exponential to me, regardless, I believe, of how much effort and control we put into guidelines and protocol. There's just so many moving parts to this world we share. And it just seems to me it's only a matter of time before it enters my house or my someone close to me. I feel like quickly, what I thought last week to what I'm, every week is new considerations, and it seems like we're learning from the past week and preparing for the next week, and it's kind of one foot in front of the other.
Mm-hmm. Colby, with your places and so many people relying on them being operating, not only your staff but the food trucks. I mean, how many different other food purveyors do you have that are somewhat attached to your operations? Colby?
Yeah, that's a good point. It was one of the big reasons during the initial shutdown that we stayed open. I didn't know if it was really cost effective for us from just the beverage side because we don't make any money on the food. It's all beverage for us. But I did want to support our food vendors for a number of reasons. They're friends at this point, and colleagues. But also I want them to stick around when things improve again. So I know for a fact that our beverage service for takeout and delivery is important for them as well. And like these guys are saying, if I could scale back to the point that we could kind of keep it going and it's not really costing us to stay open, even though we might not be making any money or losing money, then it's worth it for me to put the effort into keeping it open to help the food vendors sales as well. And you come into our pub or any guys' restaurants, it's pretty similar. There's a pretty good blend of people that come in to eat and drink. And for us, it's the majority of people come in here to do both, probably 2/3 of the people. So it's important for me to help do that, to take care of the food vendors. But delivery was not easy. It was fun to deliver beer to people's doorsteps. It's not easy. It's logistically challenging, especially when you have multiple vendors like we do. We have to coordinate all the orders that people send in and then get it to a delivery driver that we hire. We pay for this person. And it's just a logistical challenge. I'm not looking forward to the delivery part of it from that perspective. And the takeout's okay. But for us, the combination of takeout and delivery is important to make it pencil out. And so we'll probably do that again if we get shut down. Or even in the wintertime, if the business starts to slow down significantly enough, we might just do that again. I mean, we're already doing curbside pickup, but would we add the delivery part? We might just do it anyway, just to make ends meet over the wintertime. If people aren't coming to our pubs, they're probably still going to want the product, so if you could do takeout and delivery, at least takeout, I think you could still kind of make it work a bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, what would you do, Josh? I mean, would you continue doing, I know you're doing some delivery, right, just in the Hood River area before?
No, we haven't done delivery. Hood River is so small. Our pool is small, and we're not that far from folks to come down to us. But if we get shut down, either we shut ourselves down or the government shuts down. I imagine we're still going to be able to do some sort of continue, at least with to go, be able to make that at least it's not like a vibrant business, but helps to semi keep the lights on and get people fed and get people beer. And now we know how to do it too. And like what works, what doesn't work. And, with that and with, our production within the brewery, we've been financially planning for worst case scenarios, but obviously, we're hand in hand with our retail partners. I mean, we love our draft business, and we love the people we get to do it with. And so, we're still trying to keep draft going. But we're offering a lot less choices than we have in the past. I mean, pFriem's normally known for making 130, 150 different beers a year. We operate a very different brewery and keeping our complexity down so that we can keep our inventories lean and that we can stay nimble as well. And I'm curious on what Dan and Colby are seeing, but also it seems like people that are going out are also looking more for flagships and more of the stuff they can count on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say, Josh, I just think people are happy to come in and drink draft beer, which I'm drinking your golden IPA here.
Oh, cool. Cheers.
Right? So, because I supported Tony last time. In fact, I drank out of the cans because I wanted Tony to work the canning line more. This time, I got your back, Josh. But yeah, I think people are I still feel like this, and maybe, I don't know how you feel, Dan, but I think people are just happy to be able to go out and get draft beer and get a really good draft beer that they like from a brewery like either one of yours, pFriem or Boneyard. They seem just to be excited to get whatever, even if it's just a flagship beer. I certainly am stoked. I'm pretty happy with whatever, as long as it's quality and fresh at this point. So if you have to streamline a little bit to keep your freshness up, then I think that's worth it. I think the customers do too.
All right. Well, I figure we should go out of this conversation on a more positive note. I mean, what are the best things you've seen? What is a reason for optimism here? Maybe Dan can chime in on that first.
Was that for me? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything you're optimistic about? Is there anything you're hopeful about,
Why we're all in this business is to see smiles on people's faces, and having that come through the door every day, and how gracious people have been with not just with their dollars, but with their smiles, with their attitude, and talking with the guests. I mean, that's what we're all in this industry for, is to make people happy, and seeing them come through the door and actually seeing that enjoyment, and have those air hugs, unfortunately, and air high fives. It's awkward, it's goofy, but it's a beautiful thing. I mean, the human race is a wonderful, beautiful thing that we all get to be a part of, and what we like to do is put that in the venue, and it's just a great opportunity, and to have people be able to present that venue to people again. It would be a bummer if we shut down. It might happen, but we're going to fight tooth and nail. They're going to have to drag us out by our fingernails, out of the bar before we shut that. Before we close up doors permanently. We're going to be here, and we're going to ride it out. We're going to figure it out. Might not be pretty, but we're going to do what we can. We'll be here. See the other side, right?
Tony, have you seen any reasons for optimism?
Well, inherently, I'm a very highly optimistic person, and our company sort of runs that way, a little loosey-goosey, and just have fun with it. And this has been definitely challenging for everyone knows that. Of course, I like most somehow feel that we'll turn this page and enter another chapter. I don't know if that's 3 months or 3 years. I was chatting with some colleagues earlier about how great it's going to be when I get to cross their path randomly on the streets of some brew fest in Europe or somewhere, and it'll just seem surreal to look back. Hopefully to be able to look back on this and just sort of with your comrades over a pint of beer at a brew fest or somewhere in a crowded city in an airport, and just realize how good we have it. Usually.
What do you think, Josh? Have you seen some bright spots in your business or the way things have been going?
Yeah, I think we probably all feel it. And Dan and Tony touched on it. I mean, we're all in this business because we love people and getting people together and having fun. And I don't think that's changed at all in the human nature through this. It's been great seeing people at the pFriem tasting room or wherever I've gone out and just seeing life and that excitement about being on premise at a place, drinking a beer, having a conversation, and having food and just the full experience. And so I think if we've made it this far, all collectively, I think there's hard times ahead, but I am encouraged by the resilience of both the beer and the hospitality industry and everything in between, how much resilience there has been. We've definitely lost some businesses and some friends that are, had businesses so far, but I think the numbers seem to be actually fairly low compared to what they could be. So it says that we're fighters. I think we all got in this because we can fight. And I think we're collectively going to hang in there and have beer and cheer waiting on the other side.
You have anything to add to that, Colby?
Yeah, I'd say I might be more optimistic than I should be. I'm not sure, but I felt so far this summer it's worked out well. I also have places that have a lot of outdoor seating, so I think this is optimal for us during the nicer months. But I feel like we're able to we're not making money, that's for sure, but we're getting through all this and staying in business. Like our food vendors are as well. I'm employing almost our full staff, mostly just because with wiping down the tables and having a greeter and all that, you still have the same staffing needs. It's just we're not really making any money, and we've done some things to streamline our operations a little bit to keep going. But to me, that feels really good to be able to do this and to keep it going. And I think with some other resources, like Josh said, just being kind of scrappy, and that's just the way we kind of are built. If you're going to go start something like this, to be able to get through the winter and the PPP loan, and maybe there'll be some more of that. I'm optimistic that the government will step in a little bit more if necessary to keep businesses going, because it appears that the data suggests that that's the best thing to do for the country and the economy. So I think they'll continue to step up and keep everyone afloat, or as many businesses as possible. But I've just been, with the food vendors and our staff, like they're have good spirits, and they're enjoying what they're doing, and the patrons that are coming in are enjoying what they're getting, and other people are able to stay home because that's what they want to do. And there's got pFriem and Boneyard supplying package for those people as well. So I just feel like we're in a good spot. I think we're going to be able to make it through it. I think vaccines and treatments out there are being developed, and those things all look positive, and I think we're going to end up in a good spot. I feel good about that. I guess that's probably it for me. I think we're going to get through this and be all right in the grand scheme. As I like to say now, all things considered, things are going great. So.
All right. Well, I guess I'll wrap it up. Want to thank you guys for your time, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Actually have a draft beer.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Somehow I just have a feeling that we're going to be doing this again in 4 weeks. It's so dynamic of a conversation. It's just so evolving. It'd be interesting. Yeah. I feel like I like listening to the other guys and hearing their approach and kind of adjustments they're making. So it's been very useful for me as well. Appreciate it.
I was hoping to get down to Bend at the end of August, but now I'm not sure if that's going to be feasible. But if I do, I'll have to hit you up.
And told you to kick rocks, apparently, so stay at home. That's right.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, guys.